you still had them. It's not like you lose them because the website you got them from goes away. They're on your hard drive, but my hard drive died. So at that point, I had to completely reset the game. Actually, I'm not sure the game save was available either. It didn't do a cloud save. So I lost the game save as well. So I had to rebuild the farm using the Easy Developer Toolkit. I could make sure I had enough money to buy all the equipment I had. I had enough money to buy all the land I had. Then I got rid of all the money except what the approximately what the bank balance had been. It was like looking at mine now, and I'd say, well, I had about 320, so we'll give myself that much. I think I had to set the calendar. Actually, I don't think I settled the money at that point. I had to set the calendar back, replant everything that hadn't been planted. I think, fortunately, I had just finished the harvest, so I didn't have any fields to harvest. I had planted 1 or 2 fields, so I set the calendar back to August and replanted the fields that needed to be planted in the months that needed to be planted, and I think moved us on to December because that's where the hard drive had failed. We were just into December, so it wasn't a significant part of the year. I just had to make sure I had crops planted in the fields I had planted and had treated them with ploughing and all of the rest of the stuff. I then edited the vehicle HTMLs to make sure all of the vehicles were the correct hours, the correct months, give or take a few. I knew approximately how much they should be, so I got them close enough. So, looking at this truck's 11 hours old and however many months. Pulled all that information, updated all that information, so the vehicles then became worth approximately what they should have been. Obviously, the maintenance, they were all fully maintained at that point. But I started that off, and then as I planted the fields, I didn't. I paid to repair the tractors. Then I reset the bank balance, and we started from that point. So, it is what it was. I think all of my sheep suddenly became 1 year old because that was a thing. So I think that was the only difficult reset, was I couldn't individually age all of my sheep, so I just had 250 sheep per field, so 3 fields, 750 sheep, and they were all 1 year old, and they all obviously started having babies. We sold off the excess, and they produced wool over the spring because we were using the Realismus or Realism US seasons. So sheep only produced wool during the spring, etc., etc. So that's basically what I did to recover that in this situation, because I've still got access to this old PC, which, good grief, that fan is... I'm actually wondering if it's the graphics card fans that are being overworked. Because this, I only get the fan kick up to high speed when I'm playing something like Farming Simulator or World of Warships. Watching YouTube, there's no fan noise. Browsing the internet, downloading stuff, no fan noise. Just when I'm playing a game. So I'm thinking my graphics card might be a bit heat intolerant, shall we say. But yeah, I should have, obviously end of this game day, I may not have time to do more farm sim work because I need to make sure that the new PC has all the drivers loaded that it needs loaded. Also got to pull out the HDMI cable and swap it for a display 2.1 cable, because that's the way I'm going at the moment. I did buy a 10-foot cable rather than the 6-foot one I'm currently using, because as I said, we'll be using the current 1080p monitor for a time, an indeterminate time. Mrs. Osa knows which monitor I want, so she's going to be monitoring the prices on that, and possibly round about Thanksgiving time we might order it, depending. And once that comes in, I'll be taking the 1080p off the wall, putting the new one up and plugging that into the display cable. And then I will want another wall bracket to mount the old screen on, and I'll need a 6-foot display cable so that I can run 2 monitors at the same time. I don't think there shouldn't be a problem running a 1440 and a 1080 on the same system. Just got to make sure that the 1440 is the primary, and then at that point I can forget using my work PC to monitor Twitch chat, and it'll actually be just off to the left and I won't have to turn to see it. So I should respond to people chatting in the chat room far more promptly than I do at the moment. Today I'm looking south. Am I looking south? No, I'm looking west for my main monitor, and my work monitor is off to the south. So I have to turn 90 degrees and then some to see what's going on the Twitch stream. But with the second monitor there, that should work a bit better. Also, possibly in spring, maybe updating or swapping out the router, because I have a 1 gigabit router and my new PC is capable of 2.5, which means that our current home network is throttling the maximum capability of the new PC. So getting a faster router will, one, probably free up traffic for everybody else so we're not all stepping on each other's bandwidth, and 2, will give me a little bit more data transfer and may end up making the stream less unstable. It currently says the stream is live and unstable. Sometimes I get a good connection, but a lot of the time it registers as unstable. I don't know if that's at my end or whether it's just everything in between. But there's no rush to replace the router because I'm not sure my internet provider network speed either. So I would have to look that up to see how much benefit we'd get, or whether I want to request a new router or modem from them with a higher speed network, or whether I want to buy one. But anyway, that's all for the future. New PC should allow me to do a little bit more. It's one of the reasons I've kind of held off doing anything fancy if I ever get round to it, is because this PC is so old, it doesn't do fancy very well. The new PC is a Ryzen 5 5600X3D, which is only available in America from Micro Center. And they're doing a bundle which has the Asus TUF Gaming plus Wi-Fi in the bundle, and 6,000 megahertz DDR5 32GB RAM set. The other bundles they do, you can either get a 32GB or a 48GB RAM setup. You pay the difference. But the bundle I got didn't have an optional memory upgrade, and from what I'm seeing, most games still only need 16GB, although they can suffer from graphics stutter if they are only 16. 32 is now the recommended amount to get, and getting 48 is an optional luxury, and I don't really need it. The graphics card is a Radeon 7600 XT, which I'd have liked the 7700, but I'm on a budget, so the 7600 is seriously better than I have now. I've got a NVIDIA 1080, so yeah, very old. I'm not even sure it's got any RAM on it. At least nothing in Windows is reporting you have a graphics card with 1GB of memory or 4GB of memory. It's just not saying anything about how much memory the graphics card has, so I'm not actually sure it has any. But it's still, everything we're doing here is still running. So it's a good graphics card for its day. This one isn't the best, but it was at a reasonable price point, so I went with that. And since I'm still running in 1080, it's perfectly adequate for running 1080. I might find when I swap out the monitor for a 1440 that it's not capable of running at 144 megahertz like the monitor's going to be capable of doing. So there may be thoughts of upgrading it. The issue I had was the 7600 XT has 16GB of RAM on the card. If you go up to the 7700 XT, it's a faster processor, but it's only got 12. And there is some recommendation that you really these days want to be looking at 16GB graphics cards, which is why NVIDIA is generally a problem. Because a lot of their cards, you've got 8GB cards, 12GB cards is sort of just acceptable, but they cost so much money. And the NVIDIA cards are much more reasonable price with more memory. So as I say, I could have gone for the 7700 XT with 12GB of RAM, and the other thing is, new graphics cards due out in spring. Well, if I'm not really up and running, button, press that one, too fully with a in 1440p yet, then I don't actually need a very powerful graphics card, and I can do it in steps, as I said. We'll plug in the new monitor. We'll see how that works out, and I may need to bump up the graphics card sometime next year. But I've got two other PCs that could benefit from a graphics card improvement. Teenage Osa's PC can't, although I did compare her motherboard graphics with the GTX 1080, and they're a break even. There's really no point in me adding a graphics card into her system because she'll get no benefit. And I was comparing her motherboard graphics to the 1080, and really there was a whole bunch of game, what do they call it, where they test a game on a thing and see what FPS you get out of it. Half the games ran faster on her motherboard graphics and the other half ran faster with the GTX, and it was only by 2 or 3% each way. So really, I can't improve her graphics. Also, I've got a feeling my graphics card is suffering anyway, so she wouldn't get any benefit from that either, because it would probably break after a while. But yeah, that's all fine. But if I do need to upgrade my graphics card, I can't put my new PC's graphics card in her PC because her PC's too old. It doesn't go that high. I can't remember what the previous. No, I've got a 76. What did I do? 7600 ST. I would have to go down to a 5600 XT, which is still a $150 graphics card. So I'm not sure I want to pay $150 for her to upgrade her graphics. There are far cheaper ways of making her PC go faster, one of which is to I did flash her BIOS this morning so she can support more modern memory DIMMs. So that's one of the things I have done. Since I flashed her BIOS, she can probably now make use of my memory, which will double the memory capacity she has, which will be a good thing because her system only has 8 gigabytes. Doesn't want to do that, eh? Okay, that doesn't want to do that one. So back off from there. Go over there. Oh, that's a pain. I just realised the wheel loader's up at the logging camp. Is that not working because that's full? Oh, I could be a complete idiot. Yes. complete idiot. Wondering why it's not loading the last of the silage, and it's because the trailer's full, so it can't. Anyway, we'll take this back over to the other place. And then, yeah, to round off the system, we've got 1 terabyte 4th gen SSD, which is an upgrade from the 3rd gen that my current PC is running. So we'll get better transfer rates there, although really not a significant thing. I didn't get a new case. I kept with, and I'm using Mrs. Osa's old defunct PC that was the same as mine. The original idea was to use her case and power supply and just buy motherboard, RAM, processor, graphics card and SSD, more modern SSD. But we got to the store, we priced everything up, and she let me have a little bit of leeway with the budget. So I thought, I'm going to get a new power supply unit, and it's really good I did, because this power supply in our old PCs was only a 500 watt power supply. And yeah, I'd have had to go shopping immediately to go out and find a 750 minimum. So fortunately, budget stretched to buying a new power supply, so I have a 750 in the new one. My PC has an 850 because I put in a graphics, a sound card into it, and figured I probably need to up the wattage, and I thought it was a 750, so I put an 850 in mine. So I do have a spare 850, or from tomorrow I will have an 850 watt power supply going spare. But I did decide to keep her 2 terabyte disk drive installed in the case, which is good because it meant I could. We're now able to recover all her files that she lost when the PC died. Because there's nothing wrong with the hard drive, it's just a lot of the other stuff inside it failed. Oh, and I got an AIO, an all-in-one cooler, which is RGB lighting, except I completely missed how to install the RGB, or how to connect the RGB lighting. So no RGB inside the case, except for the 3 fans on the front, which are stuck at blue. And I can't be bothered to take the thing apart again. So the AIO works, but it was half price discounted, so it seemed to me to be stupid not to do it. It's a little bit more extravagant than putting a heat-seeking fan on, which I could have done as well, and that would have been significantly cheaper. But I decided, we'll get the AIO, because there is the possibility that this PC is using the latest generation motherboard. The new generation of processors are coming out within the next few months. Obviously not looking to upgrade those. However, maybe 2 generations of processors time, I might want to update the processor. My motherboard should be capable of doing that, and a upgraded processor may require a bigger cooling unit. I've already got one. I'll just, buy some thermal paste and swap out the processor, and everything will be fine and wonderful. So yeah, this afternoon, instead of doing the basement, because I can't do that now, we will be doubling the RAM in Teenage Osa's PC. I might consider looking at flashing